Welcome back. You're with us on Monday's edition of Rise and Shine. I did mention before going into the break that we're going to have a very important person on board Rise and Shine who's going to talk about a very important topic, a much talked about topic these days when it comes to management, or when it comes to motivation, or when it comes to leadership. He's currently a corporate trainer. He is a lecturer at 5 different tertiary institutes, I can go further on and on about what he does, because he's obviously a professional academic lecturer of many institutes, and I just can't figure out how he would find the time to put all that in together. But he's been one of the leading persons when it comes to leadership and motivation in Sri Lanka. A very good morning to you, Mr. Mario Fonseka.
Good morning,
Very good morning to you.
Good morning, Chani.
All right, starting off things, looking at what I've been given, it's a lot of things that comes in. So first of all, just tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into all this.
Well, I started my career in finance, moved into corporate planning. Then I was a general manager for a short time. Then I decided I had to be on my own. Didn't quite like, at a certain stage in my career, of course, not the early stages, but having to do someone else's thing. I wanted to do it my way. So at the age of 31, I started on my own. And ever since, that was in 2004. And ever since, I'm a trainer, consultant, lecturer. That's what I do.
All right, coming into, you are specialized in finance, marketing, and HR. So if you just elaborate on those segments that...
I'm a fellow member of CIMA.
Right.
As well as I'm a member of Chartered Institute of Marketing. My MBA I did with a specialization in HR. So I wanted to get a good grasp of management, because as I said, I wanted to rise in management at one point, and that's why I wanted to kind of focus on those areas, those 3 specific areas, because I felt those are the 3 most important areas for a person who wants to be a CEO or GM, or, of that level.
So you've probably mastered in management. You've spoke of management more than the other 2, finance and HR. When it comes to management and taking up lecturing to students, what is the main key point that you will remind them when you go into a class of a management student class?
For them to prepare for their corporate life?
If you're the lecturer and you're lecturing the students, what's the first key point you will say?
You see, it's like this. Whether you're a manager or leader, you got to get things done. And the people who have to do it, have to want to do it. So I think the focus should be on that. How do I, because it's not the same thing for different people. And I think a manager's or leader's job is to identify his people, his team, and sometimes have a slightly different strategy. I'm not talking about favoration, but igniting different people from different angles and trying to get the best out of them.
Mr. Mario, like I said, you did mention about finance, marketing, and HR. So are they all interlinked, or is there any connection there, or they are on different paths that you go?
It's like this. You see, we all work in business, isn't it? We don't necessarily work in compartmentalized areas. And I'm an ardent believer that you shouldn't have that compartmentalization too much. Then it leads to a lot of departmentalization. Departments are important, but you must think business. You must not think finance. I'm finance. I always do this when I do that. Finance, marketing, HR. That kind of narrow focus gets on other people's nerves, and the job doesn't get done. Also, in my opinion, and I promote that particularly when I teach and when I talk about these subjects.
All right, so coming back to
the topic.
Coming back to the topic that we want to highlight more today is because about leadership and motivation. So when it comes to leadership and motivation, obviously they both link in together. So if you could just elaborate or describe us what leadership is really, and then how you get motivated into leadership.
I mean, if you consider what leadership is, Kosala, I think leadership has to be taken in context. You have a leader, you have to have a follower. You can't have a leader without a follower. Then people will call you a madman. I mean, if you call yourself a leader and nobody's following you. There has to be a relationship between these 2 parties. Okay? And there has to be a situation, meaning the follower needs you because of the situation, context. You see, always followers tend to look up to leaders, and the reason why they look up is because there needs to be something that comes from the leader towards them. So it's important that you understand that, and the leader operates in that context. So, I mean, to connect up motivation, the leader, while inspiring and motivating, you also have to get things done. You can't do everything alone. The leader has to be visionary, has to see things, but things have to happen from the followers most of the time. So there again, like I said before, the followers must want to do it, as I see it, not be told to do it. So it's not authority, but I believe it's influence. Because authority, will work when you're there, but when you're not there, are they doing it? So I think influence, and that's where the motivation comes in.
Well, they say leaders are born, not made. So if you can elaborate.
Well, I beg to differ on that. This is a debate that has gone on. I think it's as old as management itself. What I would like to think is it's a bit of both. Okay, we can't deny when we see leaders coming out of leaders, as in born to leaders, that there has to be something genetic, something from that background. But still, for all, I believe it's their learning. You see, you also find sometimes two, say, father and mother who are really brilliant leaders, and there's a son or daughter who's, I don't want to call them names, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So then what happened? Does the father and mother become less leaders as a result of that? I don't think so. So I believe there is a learning that happens. Context matters. The upbringing matters. But I believe it's a bit of both, because if leaders cannot be made, then there's no point in talking about leadership in business schools. So they have not stopped doing that, because leaders can be made, and we can learn leadership. And any leader would admit that they never fell from the sky. They all picked up things along the way.
Now, when it comes to leadership, there are a lot of training programs, if it's either corporate or even school-wise for students. So many people take up leadership training programs within that career. How important is it, a leadership program for a student or a person in the work area?
I myself conduct some of this stuff, so people will think I'm biased in saying this, but how I see it is this: it is important, but you see, it's like this. I can conduct a program on leadership, or someone else can do a program on leadership, but the person being trained must first admit that this is something that he or she requires and must want to improve. And then if they focus on such a program, given that the program is good, I'm sure they will learn. I'm sure they will, rise up in their leadership qualities, become better. But I don't think just because, for example, you have situations where, say, the manager says, hey, leadership, you go for this. And he arrives and sometimes you ask him, why are you here? I don't know. The manager sent me. That kind of thing is not going to work.
I think I was going to ask you that question. Like, say, when it comes to these many institutes or many companies, you see a program saying leadership, then you just send your people into it. But then that doesn't solve it. Like, it has to come in with the person within you to try and...
Because I think it has to be linked with training needs analysis in an organization. People have to have a large say. When I say people, the employee has to have a large say in what he or she needs. Of course, the manager also would see what his juniors need to be trained on. But still, for all, I would say, if you're not motivated, you're not going to learn anything. Not leadership, nothing. If you're motivated, you'll learn anything.
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, so you need motivation to take up anything. Say, if it's a goal in life, if it's your vision, if it's a job that you need to do, or if it's to be the person you are, you need that motivation. How do you give that motivation to your students or to the people you lecture?
I think you need to inspire them. I'm a person who believes in the idea of inspiring people towards greatness. You see, if you take the role of a coach, I also used to play basketball a long time ago. Now I might look as if I followed the ball, but anyway. One thing I learned when I played basketball was, the role of a coach. Sometimes the coach is not necessarily able to do all the stuff that the player can do. But it's about not only giving the skill, but it's also about inspiring people towards greatness. And I believe as a teacher, trainer, lecturer, coach, you have to be able to inspire people. And that has to come from genuineness, believing in what you say, and being able to plant those seeds of inspiration in those young minds so that they will produce results or fruit later on.
So going by the saying that you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink it, but it's down to the coach or the trainer to make sure that the horse drinks it.
I mean, if I were to relate to that, I would say it's a coach's job to get the horse interested in the water to the extent that horse doesn't want anything other than the water. And that's the difficult part of inspiration.
So you can say that inspiration, then motivation, they both do go in coincidence.
Yeah, because if you're inspired, you're motivated, isn't it? I mean, you're inspired to do something. So motivation is that inner drive that comes from within to do or not to do something. So you have to be inspired. You must want it. You must. And also, I believe there's a futuristic orientation as well. Always, whatever we do is for the future. It's never for the past or not even for the present. So you must want something better in the future, I believe. And it's for the leader or the coach to ignite that need.
Yes, indeed. And to be an inspirational person, to make yourself an example is a very hard thing. It's a very hard thing to make yourself an inspirational person for the others. So that is probably something very important when it comes to lecturing. If I may ask you, who was your or what was your inspiration?
For lecturing?
To be who you are right now. You spoke of inspiration. What was your inspiration?
Well, it's like this. You see, who I am now was not necessarily something that I really dreamt of or visioned when I was very young. My vision has changed over the years. You know, when I was in school, I was happy to be an accountant. Then later I realized I could be a little bit more than that. Then I thought being a GM or something like that would be what it is. Then I realized, no, I need to be on my own. So I think it's also a case of what you want for life. So I don't think, I mean, I would be wrong in saying when I was small, somebody inspired me and I have become that exactly. You know, I've not taken any U-turns, but I've taken some side turns, you know. I've tried to reinvent myself over the years, look at people and get inspired. And I would say there are many people, I wouldn't put it down to one. But something that I always believed in and something that I tell people is, don't just do something, do it really well. Find that thing that you can do really well. And I think that's where I am now. I mean, I love what I do. I loved what I did, but I didn't love it as much as I do it now. I like to impart. I mean, the impartation is something that I like. So, so being a trainer as well as a lecturer helps me to do that. So that, I don't think that was something that I was aspiring to when I was very young, but it got molded along the way.
Coming back to, okay, say like the parents or say a person in the school, a child, for example, who study. A lot of parents do tell them, you need to do this, you need to do that. What is your thing about that?
Well, good that you raised that question, because I totally go against that thinking. My belief is this, and I think it's backed by facts as well from what I've seen. You see, you must, it's your, as a teacher, as a parent, it's your job to identify who your child is. Your child is not you. Sometimes parents try to achieve what they couldn't achieve through the children, and that's wrong. That's another individual. I think you need to understand what they're good at, find out what they're good at, and I mean, they must like it. These two things normally go together. You can't hate something that you like. Yeah. So when you like something and you're also good at it, you will go very far. And it's the job of the parents to, from a very small age, to understand the child. What is he or she interested in? And then nurture that. And I think if you can do that, I mean, there'll be great people, not just mediocre people. You know, because sometimes when you push somebody into a profession, they become mediocre. And I know enough people who have started sometimes in a profession and later on, they started because there was pressure from somewhere. And later on in life, they realized, oh no, this is not what I want to do, and they take a total U-turn. Sometimes some of that years is wasted. I wouldn't say all of it was wasted, but sometimes certain years is wasted because now they're in something else.
So sometimes the U-turn works, sometimes it might not work.
And I mean, if they had guidance properly at the right age, I think they would have achieved more.
So I think that is a lot that goes through a lot of people. Like as you said, they've been forced to do that, but then they suddenly realize that, as you said, that no, this is not what I want to do. I think it goes to the parents that, as you said, to identify, okay, this is what needs to be done,
exactly.
Not to force it. I think that is something is common in Sri Lanka. They force your child to do this.
I think they do it all out of love. I mean, they want the children to be better. It's just that they don't understand that. I mean, it's like this. You can't take a round peg and put it into a square hole. You see, the child is a certain personality. You got to put him into a round hole. Then he'll be comfortable. He'll be good. If not, when you push it, you know what happens. Some parts of either the hole or the peg will break. So that's what happens. And I know people who sometimes are in these different, I mean, the wrong area, I would say. And what happens is they're not content. And some may take the U-turn. Some just live on. And then they become mediocre because they're not very happy. When they get up on Monday, they say, oh, Monday. They're looking forward to the Friday. I mean, I would like to say, today I am at a place where I don't have a Monday. I don't have a Friday.
Because, you treat every day as
not that I treat. I just feel that all 7 days are the same for me. Because it was not the case. I'm not saying I was always like that. But I have come to a place where I'm like that now. And I don't have holidays, I don't have work days. I work for myself. Somebody said, I'm not quite sure who said this, find something you like to do and you'll never have to work a single day. Because when your heart is in it, you don't see it as work.
True.
And that's, I think, where people make the mistake.
And also coming back to the fact that when you, like, say, when you're forced to do something that you are not, that you don't like, then the practical knowledge that you gain might be less because you might be into more the studious type. You just come there, and then because of that you keep doing your job. But then the practical knowledge you gain by the job is very remote.
Yeah, because the thing is, as you said, again, there's no motivation there. Where there's no motivation, there's no great results. Again, like I said before, there's mediocrity. There'll be results, but nothing great.
Yeah, the fact is that the people who guide the children from the small days, the parents or the teachers, and all of these people need to identify that, because the child himself, him or herself, cannot figure out certain things sometimes. Maybe the guidance is important.
Now, this is where it comes in. I mean, it's true that the children are unable to know enough to decide. That's where the parents and the teachers, the adults, must show the options, not choose it for them.
Exactly.
You see, this is what a medical doctor would mean. This is what an engineer would mean. You know, so, but it's also fitting the person's personality, because personality will mold what, I mean, will determine what you're good at. Because we are all not good at the same thing, and that's where the problem will come.
All right, Mr. Mario, coming back to, we talked about leadership, we talked about motivation. Tell us a little bit about team building.
Oh. You see, these are like three cornerstones if you take it. Because when you take the leader and the follower, it's not follower, it's followers. So all those, the two parties together is the team. And I believe the leader's job is actually to develop a strong team. Because the leader can't always be there. If the leader has always got to be there for results to be achieved, then it's like, you know, the father or mother for a child. But, you know, these are adults we're talking about. So you need to build a strong, I mean, team spirit. And I like to, I mean, the World Cup just finished. I mean, if you look at who became champions, it was the team that became the champion. The sides that had the stars, well, I'm not saying Germany doesn't have stars, but somehow people don't talk about those stars as much as some of the other stars. And the same thing happened in the NBA finals this year as well. And I think I actually put a FB post on this. Because the team, I mean, teamwork won against individual brilliance. There's so much that only an individual can do. So it's a job of the leader to build great teams. And that's why I said the inspiration comes in. So it's not inspiring one person, but inspiring your team. And having an atmosphere of trust where people can learn and grow, where mistakes are tolerated. Not that you encourage them, but mistakes are tolerated as a learning experience. And you become better and better. So yes, teamwork is the other side of it, actually.
So at the end of the day, you're all human, so you're bound to make mistakes. So the leader needs to
I understand that factor as well.
Of course. Because the thing is, it's a case of understanding what their potential is. Just because they made a mistake, that doesn't, you know, erase everything they've done. As long as they learn. You see, what I always tell sometimes students is, you know, a little more blunt manner, I say this: it's okay to fall into a hole, but don't keep falling into the same hole. Then you're an idiot.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean you go searching for holes to fall also. Try and avoid them. But it's okay to fall once in a while. But also, talking of falling, I mean, if you fall 3 times, you'll get up 4 times. Because you are up early also. So it's a case of rising, rising like a phoenix rising from the ashes. So I believe that mindset is important for an individual if they are going to do well in life.
Yes, indeed. And we're coming to corporate training, Kausal, and when it comes to the corporate sector, it is also important because sometimes people, get into that routine where they wake up in the morning, go to work, and then, the whole idea is to get that probably the monthly salary so that you can go on with the rest of your life or something like that. It just becomes their routine, not their passion when it comes to what they've chosen. When it comes to corporate training and motivating people in the corporate sector, how important is it? I know it's very important for a company to, go ahead and reach higher levels. When it comes to your point of perspective and going into that.
You see, it's like this. If I were to relate it to myself, something that I always tell myself, and I tell this to, especially when I do train the trainer type of thing, I say I picture myself as a person who wears a board, a big board, okay, with a string around me. Can you picture that? String and a big board. This big board has one letter. Can you guess what that letter is? It's an English letter.
L.
A big L.
L, okay.
And I picture myself wearing this. And I'll never take this off. Okay, and I'll go to the grave with this. Meaning you need to be an attitude of learning right throughout your life. We can achieve qualification, but qualifications are just, milestones. But learning is lifelong. And that's where training comes in as well. And I think some corporates have understood that. And they believe in this and they invest in it because people have to update their skills. They have to be in attitude of learning, then only they'll become better. If not, you have the same stuff yesterday and you're not going to get any new results tomorrow with the same stuff. So learning is very important, training is very important.
All right, a common thing that is among the, or a myth we would say, when it comes to doing things, mata velawa naha meka karanna. So coming to time management, how do you look at it?
You see, I train on time management by that, and I specifically address this question. I say, it's a lie. It's a lie. You see, I had a boss who once, not only me, he used to tell everyone, he says, everyone has 24 hours in the day, you decide what you do with it. You see, nobody has more time or less time, let's face it. It's a matter of priority. When you say I did not have time, what we really mean is I did not have time for this, but I had time for something else. Because we all got 24 hours. So it's a case of priority. So there's nothing called I did not have time, because if you had less than 24 hours, then yes. But if you have the same 24 hours that we all have, then it's a matter of priority.
It's a matter of putting it into practice. Like say, there is nothing saying that there is no time. If you really have the application, you can obviously put it into play.
If you want it, you'll do it. You'll find time. Let's take it this way. Let's say someone who does not exercise, okay? Now says, I don't have time. He goes to doctor, gets a bad report. Now doctor says, my friend, if you don't exercise, this is what will happen. Will he or will not exercise thereafter?
You will.
Now his priorities have changed. Now he knows this is life-threatening. I need to get MAC right. He'll cut somewhere else and do it. So it's like that.
True enough. Quite impressive. That is what most people say. I don't have time for this, but truly you have time for everything.
When you're pressed to a corner, then you will find time.
All right, coming into the other aspects that you have been given in to highlight, marketing and branding is also something that you highlight during your, just a little bit on that.
Well, it's like this. Today, whether we like it or not, it's a commercial world. And everything is a brand. I know people who talk about individuals also as brands. But coming back more to the products itself, you see, brands are a personality. Brands are an identity. And I always tell my marketing students, before you get inside the customer's wallet, you have to get inside their head. Because if you are inside their head, then you don't have to worry about getting inside their wallet, because the head will pull out the wallet and pay for you, pay for your product. So brands are very important. I would say brands is the heart of marketing. We can't survive without heart. So, just actually picture a world without brands. Take all the brands away. We'll have products, cars, toys, TVs. Somebody said the world would be cheaper. Yeah, maybe. But it would also be dull.
True.
Because there's no identity. When I say Coca-Cola, there's a personality. When I say Volvo, there's a personality.
And also the competitiveness will go off.
Yeah, because it's branding that helps companies to differentiate. You can't differentiate against your competition if you don't have a brand which has personality and identity.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Mario Fonseka. I think we really touched on a lot of important topics, important things that people will really take from your discussion. I think time definitely permits us. We're going to go on and on talking about all these topics that you've highlighted. It is really interesting that even we've picked up a lot of things from it. I think our viewers would have picked up a lot of things. So thank you very much for taking your time and coming
Thank you so
on board,
much.
right?
Yeah, we hope to see you on some another edition of Rise and Shine as well, because there's so much that we could talk about.
Looking forward to it.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, with that, it's time for us to say our bye-bye. So Monday morning. Hope you enjoyed the show as both of us enjoyed presenting it to you. We shall see you same time, same place tomorrow. Not us, but the team from Rise and Shine will be there with us. So till then, take care, and it's goodbye from us.
Have a pleasant day ahead.